Bazooka of G.I. Joe, aka David L Katzenbogen. Not to be mistaken for Bazooka Joe, the eye patch wearing main character of the mini comic strip that came packaged with each piece of Bazooka chewing gum up until around 2012. Being featured in comics and sharing similar names, that about sums up their similarities. Sergeant David Katzenbogen may aptly carry a G.I. Joe codename of Bazooka, in that he literally carries around a bazooka, but Zookin skills are only the beginning. Katzenbogen is highly trained in many explosive projectiles, including Dragon Anti-Tank, LAW, RPG, and, well, Zooks. Bazooka is often credited with being a fast-thinking strategic planner, although in the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero animated series, he was often portrayed as a bit slower-witted and clumsy. Now, in our minds, it's up to you to decide the skills and abilities of each member of your collection. Hey, let your Zook Zook how he wants to Zook. Originally joining the team in 1985 with the first action figure representation, wearing a red number 14 football jersey, green pants, and an optional green helmet for protection, Bazooka was an instant classic that brought a fun look to the team. He later saw multiple redesigns and re-releases in various mini-groups like Battle Corps in 1993 and Tiger Force in 1988. And Tiger Force, David L Bazooka Katzenbogen, is why we are here today. Target and Hasbro have further expanded the G.I. Joe Classified and Tiger Force line with another reverse approach to repaints. Much like the Outback we covered on this channel, the Tiger Force version came before any regular representation was released. Regardless of which comes first, hopefully we are in for yet another great recreation of a classic from the 3 3/4 inch line. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and in this episode we are taking a closer look at the G.I. Joe Hasbro Classified Series Target exclusive Tiger Force David L Bazooka Katzenbogen. You want I should zook it? Hey everyone, welcome back. Here he is, David L Bazooka Katzenbogen, the Tiger Force version. Very excited to see this on the Target shelf this morning. I couldn't believe it, honestly. I kind of stood there for a second staring at it and then immediately grabbed it. But even the pre-orders that I made hadn't shipped or haven't arrived yet, just to try and make sure I got one. So very excited to have this and looking forward to being able to hopefully get any extras in people's hands. So, please reach out if you have difficulty finding these. We might be able to get a hold of some more, and that is what we are here to do. Not make a profit, but help people get stuff. Yeah, without going through all the pirates. Now, I do love the back here, right? Good old break pack. Thank you, Target, yet again. You never fail to fail in covering stuff with massive stickers. I'm curious if this one would even pull off. The good news is it's that same backing that we're used to, right? That Target thing with like the jungle view that we saw on like Outbacks and all that stuff. It's a Tiger Force. So not really missing any cool, unique artwork for it because most of that is here on the side, the artist representation of old Zook. And we got some Cobras getting absolutely zooked right there, blown up. I mean, that looks like body armor shrapnel. I'm a little concerned. But there he is flying in, just blasting straight down, just zooking everything up, all right. And he's number 54. Here are his skills. Surprisingly enough, oh look at that. It's explosive, bombs, missiles, all that stuff. Yeah, so anti-armor, I'm assuming is what that one is. I didn't look him up, but yeah, you can see that in all the rankings. Obviously, he's going to be very high in one like that. But there he is. All right, without further ado, let's bust into this guy. This is what we came here for. Let's check out our Tiger Force Zook. Now, I look forward to the reverse method of this, and hopefully, there's our pamphlet. Hopefully, we'll see a standard bazooka come out because, obviously a simple production, just a little bit of different paint. Okay, so there we go. Empty box. Kind of had me a little bit there because that backdrop was bent, I guess, from packaging. But yeah, empty box. Moving that to the side. Let's take these accessories out. There's the good old backpack. We've got the helmet. We got the Zook. And I just want to take a second to thank Hasbro for not using the McFarlane-style elastic, plasticky, rubbery things that we have to cut. All these things are tucked in here nicely, and I have yet to see one floating around in a package. So there we go. Between this and wrapping stuff in the newer ones in the paper packaging, it works, and I don't have to worry about cutting my fingers or a figure or something like that. Okay. Enough about that. Let's start by taking a look at this backpack, right? Excellent representation of the classic backpack of old Bazooka, but here's something I definitely love about it is all of the functionality that the classified series has. Am I doing it backwards? I'm doing it backwards. Yep. So we got rockets goes in right there. Makes sense, right? You don't want the the tip to be able to bump something there. You can, I guess, gently set it somewhere where it's not going to happen. But you know, like the original one, the packs already had these in place, and you couldn't remove them, despite how how much your imagination made them move. They were always just fixed right there, but now they can come out, and I'm very excited about that. I love that little bit of extra detail. And then, I'm just going to switch to manual here. It doesn't seem to be keeping up. So here on the back, we've got, looks like some plating on this for some protection, right? Obviously, if you're carrying around explosives, you want something just in case something goes wrong to give you at least some sort of a layer of protection, I'm assuming. Now, I am not military trained, nor have I ever carried a backpack that has 4 explosive rockets in it and who knows what else in the pouches. But I can just go by what it looks like there. It is gray. There's no paint or anything like that to kind of help indicate exactly what it's supposed to be, especially with these rivets. But the rivets are kind of a hint, maybe. I wouldn't assume it's a lot of buttons, but what do I know? But this gray cast plastic, like I said, not a lot of paint highlights, although there are some spots where it could have definitely benefited from it, like on these buckles and things like that. But hey, who knows? Maybe the repaint, we will see some additional details on this one, since otherwise it's just kind of changing colors of things like the helmet. And that's this right here. So very well sculpted. I mean, look at this thing. I love the color of this. I mean, look at that reddish orange hue to it, and I just love how it is very clear that it's a helmet, that it has something over it, and the strap is holding it, because you can see the wrinkles that the strap is creating by pressing that fabric that's wrapped over it. You can see the little stretch bumps, creases, whatever you want to call them, that show up when you try and stretch, like loosely stretch fabric over something without trying to make it perfect. So very cool. Excellently sculpted. I like the inside being the brown color, as if it's like leather on the inside. So it just has that classic, very cool helmet approach and feel. Now, seeing this on the camera, I can see a little bit of paint that came off right there. It kind of seems like it just bled over a little bit and has just kind of separated some, but not a big deal. It looks like it would probably come off pretty easily, but otherwise, not really many flaws in the paint here. It looks just fantastic. I love that color. So far, so good. I'm a lot more pleased with how this one is looking versus like some of the Python patrols that we got. I know we did do some reviews on those, and unfortunately there were some serious paint issues on that. But anyway, I digress to the topic at hand, and here is the Zook. Yeah, like the pads on the side, right? That's so cool. I mean, they genuinely do look like they are strapped to the side of this massive shoulder cannon, right? And it looks like it's even got a little bit of wear to it. Just the fun little details that these classified figures have. Obviously watching a live stream, you can tell that they are designed and created by fans, by people who have loved G.I. Joe for years, all their life. And this is a thing that we wanted when we were younger and collecting, and now they're making it real for collectors, for everyone, anyone interested in the line. And one thing that I noticed here with this is you can rotate the back, and you can see through it, right? So you can rotate the back for a little bit of realism in loading. You close it shut, cry out a little blast lane clear, and then you zook, right? So you got your trigger, you got your other little handle up here to hold it, and even a carrying handle. So this thing is sculpted masterfully. I love that it's in the green. I love the wear and tear on the pad that's kind of indicated right here. I'm assuming it's not just an issue or an error. Hey, it may be, but I love it. What I would have liked to have seen, maybe a little bit of detail wash, a little bit of wear and tear showing on the Bazooka itself, right? Because yeah, he's going to take care of it, but it's going to get beat up in time, and over time you kind of can't avoid that, just like some of the edges. But either way, very cool enough for me to throw it, to move on to old David Katzenbogen himself. It is such a fun name to say. All right, let's see if Otto will keep up. This dude's always so massive, right? I mean, he's a huge dude. He and Outback and Leatherneck. I look forward to the day that we get a cool Leatherneck figure, because those dudes are just huge. But here he is, right? So let's take a look at the detail on the face. I mean, look at that. That is definitely Bazooka, right? The mustache, just that look. I don't know what it is about it, but they just did a masterful job with it. It's no one's face, right? No one particular's face, but the photo real look to it is just fantastically done. I mean, it looks like it could genuinely be someone's face, like Tom Selleck's cousin or brother or Tom Selleck, if you really wanted to stretch the imagination. One thing I can see here, the hairline, there's a little bit of, like there's a little bit of sloppiness, kind of waviness. Some of the paint kind of got a little carried away. Maybe his Just for Men just got put on, and it's kind of, he missed some that got on his forehead and didn't quite wipe it off. Who knows? Because that is some solid jet black hair. And I'm not saying that he does it, but the stress of G.I. Joe and the age it shows on his face, I feel like there'd be a little bit of color showing there. I mean, come on. It happens. We got something going on back here. It seems like just some of the paint didn't quite go through, but I kind of like it, right? Because it's kind of that, in natural hair, there's spots where you can see through to the scalp, so it's just accidental realism is what we'll call that one. So there we go. I mean, the face looks great. Let's check out some of this posing. The neck is separate from the torso, so that kind of helps a little bit. Side to side, it's okay, but with the size of the neck and the way that the jaw goes down, they kind of hinder each other. Up and down, with the movement of the neck, it does help a little bit, so he is definitely looking upward. And then a downward look, pretty good, not too bad, not a chin to chest type thing or anything like that, but both of them do involve the neck to get that little bit extra. Now, most importantly, and what we all come here for, boom, full exorcist rotation does work on that, even with the neck isolated, as you saw. The neck does kind of want to travel with it, but I think the collar would stop it. I still stopped it with my thumb just to be sure. Butterfly joint in the shoulder, so great, good flexibility there, and it does give the shoulder full rotation all the way around. And we have the bicep tricep, which is great because they've got this sleeve to kind of help hide the line, and it still is one that does that full rotation, and it barely creates that odd separation that can happen sometimes when we have a lot of musculature. There's just a tiny little step there. Forgivable though. And then the sleeve, I love how they have it kind of blast out like it would when you have some massive guns like that, right? We got a double pinless elbow going on. Let's check out this flexibility. Well, that's great flexibility, despite massive musculature and the sleeve popping up, right? So that's something that would normally get in the way, but I mean, look at that's, boom, he's hitting that the traps right there. Solid work there. All right, no forearm rotation, but we do obviously have normal wrist rotation to a trigger finger hand, and this hand has up and down, right? So we've got up and down since it is a trigger finger. We can see the little joint right there. And this is the only pair of hands that come with it, and they are both trigger fingers, but they have the same flexibility and mobility, on both arms. We've got mid-torso, and this is the full movement, right? Not just the forward and backward. The 14 goes up pretty high. All right, so it's so high that if you stretch it back, it almost does like a little zigzag type thing right there, even if you keep the 4 and the 1 straight. But I would much prefer that to happen than there to be a massive, massive white line. You have to push it pretty far back to get that white line that I'm getting. So, no complaints there. And then it does lean forward fairly well. So back and forward, pretty good. And then even we've got the waist rotation that can help assist with that. And this loose belt on here can kind of help cover up some of the waist rotation gaps that can happen, see? So the belt will stretch to help just kind of hide some of it. So if we turn to what like a natural rotation would be, so maybe about here-ish, not too bad, right? You don't really see too bad of a gaps. This is a floating belt. It's not really attached, so it's one that that does help. I actually kind of prefer that, at least in this case, because it sits pretty well. It does a good kind of pressure sit thing, so you can tap it and it doesn't move very easily, but it will move out of the way. We got Bazooka split. I mean, you're rocking a football jersey. You got to definitely be flexible and athletic, so there we go. But it helps to have those drop legs, the joints that the G.I. Joe figures always seem to have, but a lot of the other lines don't seem to transition to that. Between that and the McFarlane joints, they just seem to work very well for getting pretty good flexibility as far as a split. We got upper thigh, which has an excellent separation opportunity with the pockets of these cargo pants, right? And then we got a double knee, which has visible pins, which is, it's fine. It's kind of okay when it's on pants, but when it's on an arm and you got the pinless arms, that just helps so much. But there we go, decent flexibility on that. We've got the calf rotation at the boot line. Look at that, I can get it in the camera frame. Forward and backward with the foot, definitely fairly tight, but very good flexibility. And then, boom, he can break that old Zook ankle. So there we go, perfect. And both legs have that same flexibility. And then the paint apps, from just looking at it in general, fairly well done, right? So this is supposed to be worn. There's supposed to be bits missing out of that, and that's fine, which kind of helps for any potential errors, right? As long as it's not like blue in the middle of the orange, and we don't see that. The only things I really see is like some of the stripes, slightly imperfect, right? You can see some white show through right there, where the blue overlaps. It almost looks like it was a marker or a pen, so they don't quite meet perfectly. The collar seems to be well done. No complaints on that one. Of course, the face was great, and yet again, where the blues overlap, it's like a pin. And these two didn't meet, and these two overlapped and kind of crossed each other. But then the little stripes, the tiger stripes, decently painted. You can see green through them. Would it be good for them to be solid yellow? Great. Is it okay that the green still shows through? Absolutely, because it kind of just helps keep a cohesiveness, and it doesn't make the yellow stand out too much from the green. It still makes it, it leaves that feeling of it being the same thing. Now, there are inconsistencies in the thickness of the paint, as you can see right here. There's that little line. It's very thin here and thicker here on the pocket. I appreciate that there's a little bit around here on the back, because sometimes that is missed. You've got one little stripe right there, so there you go. But yeah, all in all, great figure. Let's see how he stands on his Zook himself. Pretty good. Let's give him some accessories and see how he stands. How about that? So we got the backpack, pops in pretty easily. Let's put on the old Zook helmet, and let's give him his weapon. Let's see how hard or easy it is to get this in the old hand. There we go. Not bad, and I also appreciate the flexibility of the trigger fingers and that they genuinely go in where the trigger is. I want to thank the classified line for that, for all the times that they are not watching these videos. But there we go. There's old Zook, just loosely put together, ready for battle. Let's see how he stands, fully geared. Can he do it? Can you do it? Come on, buddy. Work with me here. Oh, he did for a second. Let's give him a little bit more weight forward. There we go. Nice power pose. Well, that brings us to the end of this explosive episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, as always. Now, if we ever do a review of something that you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we don't already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know. And let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more YouTube will recommend us, so hopefully we can reach even more collectors and help them find the things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we have some links on your screen right now for you to check out. And remember, as always, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.